My father has the same tattoo. The little girl said it softly, almost like she was afraid the words might disappear if she spoke too loud. The Mafia boss stopped mid-step. The room was loud a second ago, glasses clinking, men laughing, but the sound drained away as he turned toward her. She couldn't have been older than 7. Thin jacket, scuffed shoes, eyes too calm for a child who didn't belong there. "What did you say?" he asked carefully. The girl lifted her sleeve, just enough. A small mark near her wrist. Faded, imperfect, hand-poked. The same tattoo he'd worn since he was 20, inked the night he buried a brother whose body was never found. His breath caught. No one outside his inner circle knew that symbol. No one alive was supposed to. "Where did you see that?" he asked, his voice suddenly unsteady. She hesitated, then whispered, "My dad has it too. He told me it means family never dies." The Mafia boss felt the floor tilt beneath him. Because that phrase, that exact phrase, was something only one man had ever said to him, and the man who said it vanished 15 years ago. Stay with me until the end, because what this little girl reveals next will unravel a secret the Mafia boss has been running from his entire life. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Now, let's get into it. The restaurant fell silent. Not the kind of quiet that happens when conversation dies naturally. This was the kind of silence that cuts through smoke and laughter like a blade through silk. Every man at every table turned to stare at the small figure standing in the doorway. Vincent Marconi had seen fear before, had caused it, lived with it, breathed it like oxygen for 43 years. But this was different. This was the kind of fear that starts in your bones and works its way out until your hands shake and your throat closes. He was supposed to be untouchable, the head of the most powerful crime family on the East Coast. Men crossed streets to avoid him. Politicians returned his calls. Judges knew his name and trembled when they heard it. But this 7-year-old girl with dirt under her fingernails and a voice like broken glass had just shattered everything he thought he knew about his world. Vincent's lieutenant, Tony Rossini, stepped forward. His hand moved toward his jacket where the gun rested against his ribs. Vincent raised one finger, a small gesture. Tony stopped moving. "How did you get in here?" Vincent asked. His voice was steady now, controlled. The voice of a man who had learned long ago that showing weakness was the same as signing your own death warrant. The girl looked around the room. Her eyes moved from face to face, taking inventory, measuring. She was too young to understand the danger she was in, but old enough to sense it. "The man at the door was sleeping," she said. "I walked past him." Vincent's jaw tightened. Someone would pay for that mistake, but not now. Now he needed answers. "What's your name, little girl?" "Sophia." "Sophia what?" She hesitated. Her small hands twisted the hem of her jacket. "Sophia Castellano." The name hit Vincent like a physical blow. He stepped back, felt the wall behind him, needed something solid to lean against because the world had just tilted off its axis. Castellano, the name he'd spent 15 years trying to forget, the name that haunted his dreams and woke him in cold sweats, the name that belonged to the only man who'd ever truly been his brother. "Your father," Vincent said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What's your father's name?" "Marco," she said. "Marco Castellano." The glass in Vincent's hand shattered. He didn't remember dropping it, didn't feel the sharp edges cutting his palm. All he could see was a young man with dark eyes and a crooked smile, a man who'd saved his life 3 times and who he'd betrayed in the worst possible way. Marco Castellano, his best friend, his brother, the man he'd ordered killed 15 years ago. But Marco was supposed to be dead. Vincent had seen the photographs, had paid good money for confirmation. The body burned beyond recognition, the dental records destroyed, every trace of Marco Castellano erased from existence, except for this little girl, this impossible little girl who carried his mark and spoke his words and looked at Vincent with eyes that belonged to a ghost. "Where is he?" Vincent asked. His voice cracked. "Where is your father?" Sophia's face changed. The calm cracked. For the first time since she'd walked into the room, she looked like what she was, a scared little girl who'd walked into a den of wolves. "He's sick," she whispered. "Really sick. The doctors say he doesn't have much time left." Vincent felt something break inside his chest. Not his heart. That had broken years ago. This was something deeper. Something that had been holding him together through decades of violence and betrayal and blood. "He sent you here," Vincent said. It wasn't a question. Sophia nodded. "He said you'd understand what the tattoo meant. He said you'd remember what family means." Family. The word tasted like poison in Vincent's mouth. He'd built an empire on the concept of family. Blood bonds that couldn't be broken. Loyalty that lasted beyond death. But when it came time to choose between his real family and his found family, he'd chosen power instead. Marco had discovered Vincent's plan to eliminate the Torino family. 3 generations of rivals who controlled the docks. Marco had threatened to expose him. Said innocent people would die. Said there had to be another way. Vincent couldn't afford mercy. Couldn't afford witnesses. Couldn't afford a conscience. So he'd made the choice that had haunted him every day since. He'd chosen the family business over the man who'd been more than a brother to him. Had ordered the hit. Had watched the photographs. Had attended the funeral and shed tears that were half grief and half relief. But Marco wasn't dead. Somehow, impossibly, Marco was alive. Had been alive this entire time. Had built a life somewhere far from Vincent's reach. Had found love. Had created something pure and innocent and good. Had raised a daughter who carried their shared mark and understood what family truly meant. Sophia reached into her pocket, pulled out a folded piece of paper. Her hands shook as she held it out to Vincent. "He wrote you a letter," she said. "He said to give it to you if something happened to him. He said you'd know what to do." Vincent stared at the paper like it might explode. Like touching it might kill him. Because in a way, it would. Whatever was written on that paper would either destroy him or save him. There would be no middle ground. He took the letter. His hands were steadier than they had any right to be. Years of practice hiding fear. Years of pretending to be stronger than he was. The paper felt ordinary. Just paper and ink and the weight of 15 years of guilt. But Vincent could feel the words inside burning through the folds like acid. "Did he tell you what to say to me?" Vincent asked. Sophia nodded. "He said to tell you that forgiveness isn't earned. It's given. And he said to tell you that real family means coming home when you're ready." The words hit Vincent harder than any bullet ever could. Vincent's hands trembled as he unfolded the letter. The paper was cheap. Lined notebook paper torn from a spiral binding. The kind a dying man uses when he can't afford stationery, but still has words that need saying. The handwriting was Marco's. Shaky now, weaker than Vincent remembered, but unmistakably his. The same careful loops. The same way he dotted his I's with tiny circles instead of dots. "Vincent, if Sophia is reading this to you, I'm already gone. Don't blame her for finding you. I taught her well. Too well, maybe. I know what you're thinking. How am I alive? How did I survive? How did I stay hidden for 15 years? The truth is simpler than you'd imagine. Your assassin had a conscience. Funny thing about hiring killers, Vinny. Sometimes they remember what mercy looks like. He was supposed to put 3 bullets in my head. Instead, he put 3 bullets in a dead vagrant we found by the river. Burned the body beyond recognition. Switched the dental records. Did it clean. Professional. Then he drove me to the edge of the city and said I had 10 minutes to disappear forever. Said if he ever saw me again, he'd finish the job properly. I took his advice. Vincent's vision blurred. His chest felt tight. The restaurant around him faded until there was nothing but the letter and the words and the ghost of the man who'd written them. I don't blame you for what you did. I know that sounds impossible, but it's true. You were protecting the family. Your family. The one you built with blood and bullets and broken bones. I understand now what I didn't understand then. You weren't trying to hurt me. You were trying to save everyone else. But I had to leave anyway. Had to become someone else. Because staying meant watching you destroy yourself one choice at a time. Staying meant being part of something I couldn't be part of anymore. I found Anna in a small town in Oregon. Coffee shop owner, widowed young. Had enough sadness in her eyes to recognize the sadness in mine. We understood each other without needing to explain. She saved me, Vinny. Pulled me back from the edge of whatever darkness I was falling into. Gave me a reason to be better than what I was. Sophia came 2 years later. Most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Still is. Vincent looked up at the little girl. She was watching him read. Her dark eyes patient. Understanding in the way children understand things that adults spend lifetimes trying to figure out. Your father loved you very much, Vincent said. I know, Sophia replied. He told me every day. Vincent returned to the letter. I never told Anna the whole truth about my past. Told her I was in import and export, which wasn't technically a lie. I just didn't mention what we imported and exported. But I told Sophia everything. When she turned 6 and started asking hard questions about why we never visited family, why we moved so much in the early years, why Daddy sometimes woke up screaming in the middle of the night. She deserved the truth, deserved to know where she came from, deserved to understand that sometimes good people make bad choices and bad people make good choices, and most of the time we're all just trying to figure out which one we are. I told her about you, Vinny. Told her about the brother I lost. Told her about the man who taught me what loyalty meant. Told her about the family that shaped me into the father I became. Vincent's throat closed. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The words on the page swam together like ink in water. Tony stepped closer. Boss, you okay? Vincent waved him away, kept reading. The cancer started 8 months ago. Lung cancer. Aggressive. The doctors gave me 6 months. I made it 8. Stubborn till the end. I didn't contact you because I didn't want your pity. Didn't want you to feel obligated to visit a dying man just because we used to be friends. But I'm sending Sophia because she needs family. Real family. The kind that doesn't disappear when things get complicated. Anna died 3 years ago. Car accident. Just like that, she was gone. It's been just me and Sophia since then. And now it's just going to be Sophia. She doesn't have anyone else, Vinny. No grandparents, no aunts or uncles, no cousins. Just stories about a man named Vincent who used to be her father's brother. Vincent felt like someone had reached into his chest and squeezed his heart until it stopped beating. This impossible child standing in front of him wasn't just Marco's daughter. She was his responsibility now. His family. The only family he had left that mattered. I'm not asking you to raise her. I'm not asking you to change your life. I'm not asking you to be something you're not. I'm just asking you to remember what you taught me. That family never dies. That blood doesn't make you family. Loyalty does. Love does. Showing up when someone needs you does. Sophia knows what you do for a living. She knows what kind of man you are. She's not afraid of you because I taught her that fear and respect are different things. She respects you because you're part of her story, part of her history, part of the reason she exists. Do with that what you will. If you're reading this, I'm free now. Free from the pain, free from the guilt, free from the weight of carrying secrets that were too heavy for one man to bear. Take care of my little girl, Vinny, not because you owe me, because she deserves better than what this world usually gives children like her. Remember what family means. Your brother always. Marco. Vincent folded the letter carefully. His hands were steady now. The shaking had stopped. The fear had been replaced by something else. Something that felt like purpose. He looked at Sophia, really looked at her. Saw Marco in the shape of her nose. Saw Anna in the way she held her head. Saw himself in the quiet strength behind her eyes. How long has your father been gone? He asked. 3 days, she said. I stayed with Mrs. Patterson next door until yesterday. Then I took the bus here. You took the bus? By yourself? From Oregon? Sophia nodded. Daddy taught me how to read maps, how to count money, how to talk to strangers without telling them too much. He said someday I might need to find you on my own. Vincent laughed. Actually laughed. It came out broken and rough, like a machine that hadn't been used in years. But it was real. That sounds like Marco, he said. Always preparing for everything. He stood up, walked over to where Sophia waited, knelt down so they were eye level. I want you to know something, he said. Your father was the best man I ever knew. I made mistakes with him, big mistakes, but he forgave me anyway. That's the kind of person he was. Sophia studied his face. Are you going to send me away? No, Vincent said. The word came out stronger than he'd expected, more certain. No, I'm not going to send you away. You're family, and family never dies. Sophia smiled for the first time since she'd walked into the restaurant. It was Marco's smile, crooked and real and full of hope. Vincent stood up, turned to Tony. Clear everyone out. Now. Boss? Everyone. Clear the restaurant. We need to talk. Just the three of us. Tony hesitated. His eyes darted between Vincent and the child. In 20 years of working for the Marconi family, he'd never seen his boss clear a room for a 7-year-old girl. You sure about this, boss? Vincent's stare could have melted steel. Tony nodded quickly, turned to the room, and barked orders. Within minutes, the restaurant was empty except for Vincent, Sophia, and Tony, who lingered by the door like a guard dog unwilling to leave his master's side. Tony, Vincent said without turning around, that includes you. But boss? Out! The door clicked shut. The silence that followed was different from before. Not the sharp silence of fear, but the heavy quiet of two people carrying the weight of shared ghosts. Vincent walked to the bar, poured himself 3 fingers of whiskey. His hands were steady now, but his mind was racing through 15 years of carefully constructed lies. Everything he'd built, everyone he'd become, suddenly felt fragile as glass. Are you hungry? He asked Sophia. She shook her head, then reconsidered. Maybe a little. Vincent almost smiled. Marco had done the same thing as a kid. Too proud to admit need, but too honest to lie completely. He walked to the kitchen, pushed through the swinging doors. The cooks had fled with everyone else, leaving behind half-prepared meals and the smell of garlic and olive oil. Vincent had grown up in kitchens like this. Before the power, before the fear, before the blood, he'd been just another Italian kid whose mother made pasta on Sundays and whose father worked construction. He found bread, fresh mozzarella, tomatoes that actually looked like tomatoes instead of the perfect plastic spheres they sold in grocery stores. Simple food, clean food, the kind of meal a child should have. When he returned, Sophia was examining the photographs on the walls, old pictures of the neighborhood, men in suspenders and women in aprons, children playing in streets that were now lined with luxury cars and million-dollar condos. This used to be different, Vincent said, setting the plate in front of her. When I was your age, families lived here. Real families. Not just money and muscle. Sophia took a careful bite, chewed thoughtfully. Daddy said you grew up here. Your daddy talked about me? Sometimes. When he thought I wasn't listening, he'd get sad and talk to Mama's picture. He'd say things like, Vincent would have liked you, and I wonder what he's doing now. Each word hit Vincent like a physical blow. Marco had thought about him, had wondered about him, had missed him, maybe, the way Vincent had missed Marco every single day for 15 years. He never forgot you, Sophia continued. Even when he was really sick, when he couldn't remember my name sometimes, he'd still tell stories about his friend Vincent who taught him how to be brave. Vincent sat down across from her. The chair felt too big, too formal. Everything in this restaurant was designed to intimidate, to remind people that Vincent Marconi was not someone you crossed. But sitting across from this little girl, eating simple food, he felt smaller than he had in decades. Your father was already brave, Vincent said. He didn't need me to teach him that. He said you saved his life once. Vincent's throat tightened. He saved mine more than once. Sophia nodded like this made perfect sense to her. Like the idea of people saving each other was the most natural thing in the world, which maybe it was, before Vincent had learned that saving someone and destroying someone often looked exactly the same. "What happened between you and Daddy?" she asked. The question was direct, unguarded, the way children ask questions when they genuinely want to understand, not when they're trying to trap you or manipulate you or gain some advantage. Vincent had spent decades perfecting the art of not answering questions, of deflecting and redirecting and using silence as a weapon. But looking at Sophia's face, he found himself wanting to tell the truth, the real truth, not the version he'd told himself for 15 years. "I made a choice," he said finally. "A bad choice. I chose business over family. I chose money over friendship. I chose being powerful over being good." Sophia considered this. "Did you mean to hurt him?" "No." "Yes." "I don't know." Vincent rubbed his eyes. "I thought I was protecting everyone else. I thought sacrificing one person to save many people was the right thing to do. But I was wrong. There's no such thing as a good betrayal." "But you didn't really hurt him," Sophia pointed out. "He lived. He found Mama. He had me. Maybe your bad choice made good things happen." Vincent stared at her. This 7-year-old child had just articulated something he'd been unable to understand in 15 years of guilt and sleepless nights. Maybe his betrayal hadn't destroyed Marco. Maybe it had freed him. "You're very smart," Vincent said. "Daddy said I get that from you." "From me?" Sophia nodded. "He said the Castellano family was strong, but the Marconi family was smart. He said you could see 3 moves ahead when everyone else was still figuring out the first move." Vincent felt something crack inside his chest. Not break this time. More like thaw, like ice that had been frozen solid for so long, he'd forgotten it was water underneath. "Sophia," he said carefully, "what do you want from me? Your father's letter said he wasn't asking me to raise you, but here you are. What do you need?" She set down her sandwich, looked at him with those impossibly direct eyes. "I need to know I'm not alone." The words were simple, honest, devastating. "I don't know how to be a father," Vincent said. "I don't know how to take care of children. My life is dangerous, complicated. There are people who would hurt you just to hurt me." "I know," Sophia said. "Daddy explained about your work, about the kind of men you work with, about why you have to be careful all the time. And that doesn't scare you?" Sophia shrugged. "Everything's scary when you're 7. But Daddy taught me the difference between being scared and being in danger. He said smart people are scared of the right things." Vincent laughed again, that broken, rusty sound. "What are you scared of?" "Being forgotten," Sophia said immediately. "Not having anyone who remembers Mama and Daddy. Not having anyone who knows their stories." Vincent understood. Memory was a kind of immortality. As long as someone remembered Marco, as long as someone could tell his stories, he wasn't really gone. "I remember your father," Vincent said. "I remember the night we got matching tattoos. I remember the first time he saved my life. I remember the way he laughed at his own jokes even when they weren't funny. I remember everything." Sophia smiled. "Then you can teach me the stories I don't know. And you can teach me the stories I missed." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Vincent watched Sophia eat, noted the careful way she chewed, the way she made sure not to waste any food. She'd learned to be grateful for what she had. Marco had taught her well. "There's something else," Sophia said quietly. "Something Daddy made me promise to tell you." Vincent tensed. "What?" Sophia reached into her jacket pocket, pulled out a small wooden box, the kind used for jewelry or keepsakes. She set it on the table between them. "He said this belongs to you. Said he's been keeping it safe, but now it's time to give it back." Vincent's hands shook as he opened the box. Inside, nestled in faded velvet, was a ring. A simple gold band with an inscription he'd forgotten existed. "Brothers in blood, brothers in choice." It was the ring Vincent had given Marco when they'd sworn their oath to each other, when they'd promised that nothing would ever come between them, when they'd believed that loyalty was stronger than fear, That brotherhood was stronger than business. Vincent had assumed the ring was destroyed when Marco disappeared, had assumed it was buried with the fake body or lost in whatever chaos had followed. But Marco had kept it, had carried it with him for 15 years, had protected it even when he had every reason to throw it away. He said to tell you that promises don't have expiration dates, Sophia said. He said real brotherhood survives everything, even betrayal, even death. Vincent slipped the ring onto his finger. It fit perfectly, like it had never been gone. There's more, Sophia continued. She pulled out another piece of paper. This one newer, cleaner. He wrote this the night before he died, when he knew I'd have to find you alone. Vincent unfolded the paper with trembling hands. Vinny, if you're reading this, Sophia made it to you safely. I knew she would. She's stronger than both of us ever were. I have one last favor to ask. Not for me, for her. The Torino family is still operating, still using the docks, still hurting innocent people. I've been watching from a distance, documenting, gathering evidence. I know you think I left because I was weak, because I couldn't handle the violence, but that's not why I left. I left because I realized there was a better way to fight monsters than becoming one yourself. There's a detective in the FBI, Agent Sarah Chen. She's been trying to build a case against the Torinos for 3 years. She's clean, honest, the kind of cop who actually cares about justice. I've been feeding her information anonymously, small pieces, nothing that could be traced back to me. But I have something bigger now, something that could end them permanently. Vincent looked up at Sophia. Your father was working with the FBI? Sophia nodded. He said sometimes the best way to protect your family is to make sure the bad guys can't hurt anyone else's family. Vincent felt the world tilt again. Marco hadn't just survived the assassination attempt. He'd spent 15 years methodically destroying the organization that Vincent had tried to protect by betraying him. Where is this evidence? Sophia reached into her jacket one more time, pulled out a flash drive. Everything's on here. Names, dates, photographs, financial records. Daddy said it's enough to put them away forever. Vincent stared at the small device. Such a tiny thing to hold the power to reshape everything he'd built his life around. He wants me to give this to the FBI? He wants you to choose, Sophia said. He said you could destroy it and keep things the way they are, or you could finish what he started and make things better. Vincent held the flash drive up to the light. 15 years of careful investigation. 15 years of Marco risking everything to build a case that could bring down the people who'd forced Vincent to make an impossible choice. What do you think I should do? Vincent asked. Sophia looked at him with those impossibly wise eyes. I think you should do what Daddy would do. I think you should choose family over fear. Vincent closed his fist around the flash drive, felt its weight, felt the weight of everything that had led to this moment. Outside, he could hear Tony pacing in the alley, waiting for orders, waiting to know what came next. Vincent looked at Sophia, really looked at her, saw not just Marco's daughter, but the future, the possibility of something better than what he'd built, the chance to choose differently this time. Are you ready to meet Agent Chen? He asked. Sophia smiled, that crooked, hopeful smile that belonged to her father. I've been ready my whole life, Father. I've been ready my whole life. Vincent stood up slowly, the flash drive burning like a coal in his palm. The restaurant felt different now, smaller, less like a fortress and more like what it had always been underneath the power and fear. Just a place where people came to eat, to talk, to be human. Sophia watched him pace to the window. Outside, the city hummed with its usual chaos. Cars honking, people rushing, lives intersecting and separating like threads in a tapestry none of them could see the pattern of. Agent Chen, Vincent said, testing the name. Your father trusted her. He said she reminded him of you. Before. Sophia's voice was quiet. Before things got complicated. Vincent pressed his forehead against the cool glass. His reflection stared back at him. Older now, lines carved deep around his eyes from decades of squinting at threats that might or might not materialize. Gray threading through hair that used to be black as coal. When had he stopped looking like the young man who'd sworn brotherhood with Marco Castellano? When had he become this stranger wearing his face? "There's something else you need to know," Sophia said. Vincent turned. The child sat perfectly still in her chair, hands folded like she was in church, but her eyes held weight that belonged to someone much older. "The night Daddy died, he wasn't alone." Vincent's blood went cold. "What do you mean?" "There were men watching our house. Had been for weeks. Daddy knew they were there. He said they were waiting for him to get weak enough that they could finish what someone started a long time ago." The flash drive felt heavier in Vincent's hand. "Did they see you leave?" Sophia shook her head. "Daddy taught me how to move without being seen, how to use shadows, how to become invisible when I needed to." Of course, Marco had taught her that, had prepared her for a world where being noticed could mean being dead. Vincent felt a surge of pride mixed with heartbreak. His old friend had raised a daughter who could disappear like smoke when danger came calling. "These men," Vincent said carefully. "Did you see their faces?" "One of them. He had a scar here." Sophia drew a line across her left cheek with her finger, and a gold tooth that caught the streetlight when he smiled. Vincent's stomach dropped. He knew that scar. Had put it there himself during a disagreement over territory boundaries 8 years ago. Sal Torino, Marco's old enemy. The man Vincent had tried to eliminate before Marco stopped him. The man who apparently hadn't forgotten that Marco Castellano was supposed to be dead. Vincent looked at Sophia one last time. This impossible child who'd walked into his world carrying ghosts and second chances. She'd given him everything. Marco's forgiveness, a path toward redemption, a reason to choose differently. He picked up his phone, dialed a number he'd memorized but never called. "Agent Chen? This is Vincent Marconi. I have something that belongs to you." Sometimes the smallest voices carry the biggest truths. Sometimes a child's courage can reshape a grown man's world. Sometimes family really never dies. It just finds new ways to come home.